Wimbledon is meant to be calm, elegant, and controlled. But on Monday afternoon, in the middle of a tense first-round clash, one moment suddenly stopped everything. Harriet Dart was serving to stay in the opening set against Jelena Ostapenko. The pressure was already high. The Brit was down 2-5, fighting to survive, and every point mattered. Then, just as Dart tossed the ball into the air and began her service motion, Ostapenko lifted her racket high above her head. The match paused. The crowd waited. And up in the commentary box, Martina Navratilova could not hide her frustration. The BBC pundit was furious, asking why Ostapenko had stopped the point and making it clear she believed the umpire should have stepped in. But moments later, the reason behind the delay was revealed, and the story took another twist. Jelena Ostapenko arrived at Wimbledon with plenty of attention already around her. The Latvian star is known as a fierce competitor, a powerful hitter, and a player who rarely goes unnoticed on court. Against Britain's Harriet Dart, she looked firmly in control early on. The first set had moved quickly in Ostapenko's favor. Dart was under pressure, trailing 2-5, and trying desperately to stay alive. She had already saved 2 set points. That alone made the next moments feel huge. At 40-40, Dart prepared to serve. This was not just another point. If she could hold, she would force Ostapenko to serve for the set. If she cracked, the opener would be gone. Dart tossed the ball. Her service motion began. And then Ostapenko, standing on the other side of the net, raised her racket above her head. The rhythm vanished instantly. Dart had to stop. For any server, that is a difficult interruption. For a player trying to stay in a Grand Slam set, it is even more frustrating. Navratilova reacted immediately on BBC commentary. She questioned why Ostapenko had held up the racket and groaned at the interruption, clearly believing there was no obvious reason for the Latvian to stop play at that exact moment. She then said the umpire should have called Ostapenko up on it, arguing there was no reason for the racket to be raised in that situation. It was a sharp reaction from one of tennis's most respected voices. But the incident was not over. After the brief pause, play continued. Dart served again, and Ostapenko returned the ball into the net. That gave Dart advantage. Then the umpire addressed the crowd. The issue, it turned out, was a mobile phone. The umpire asked spectators to make sure their phones were switched off. That changed the picture slightly. Navratilova softened her reaction, acknowledging that a mobile phone going off is annoying and noting that it rarely happens these days. Still, the interruption had already become the talking point of the game. And this is where the drama became even sharper. Dart, having just been disrupted while serving to stay in the set, responded in the best way possible. On the next delivery, she fired down an ace. That shot sealed the game. For the British crowd, it was a small but powerful moment. Dart had been under pressure. She had been paused mid-motion. She had watched the tension build around her, and yet she still found the serve when she needed it. But the bigger battle remained. Ostapenko was still ahead. She had already built the lead. And despite Dart's fight back in that game, the Latvian went on to take the opening set 6-3. So the key moment did not change the direction of the set completely, but it did create one of the most heated talking points of the match. Was Ostapenko right to stop play because of the phone? Was the timing unfortunate? Should the umpire have handled it sooner? Or was Navratilova's first reaction understandable because, from the commentary box, it looked like Ostapenko had interrupted Dart at a critical moment? That is exactly why this incident caught attention. It was not just about one raised racket. It was about timing, pressure, etiquette, and the fine margins of Wimbledon tennis. At 2-5, 40-40. With Dart serving to stay alive, even the smallest interruption can feel massive. One broken rhythm can change a point. One point can change a game. And in a Grand Slam match, one game can change the mood of an entire set. For Dart, the pause did not stop her from holding serve. For Ostapenko, it did not stop her from taking the opener. But for viewers, and especially for Navratilova, it was enough to spark a furious reaction live on BBC coverage. The incident also came with extra context. Ostapenko had arrived at Wimbledon after reaching the Eastbourne final, although she was forced to retire injured while a set down against Tatiana Maria. Dart, meanwhile, had also come through Eastbourne, where she was beaten in 3 sets by Zeynep Sonmez. So both players entered Wimbledon with recent grass court storylines behind them. And now, their first-round meeting had produced another moment for people to debate. In the end, Wimbledon gave us the kind of drama that does not always come from a rally, a winner, or a match point. Sometimes, it comes from a single pause. A racket raised above the head. A serve stopped mid-motion. A BBC legend reacting in disbelief, and a crowd being told to switch off their phones. Jelena Ostapenko took the first set 6-3, but the moment everyone was talking about came before that set was even finished. Harriet Dart was trying to survive. Ostapenko stopped the point. Navratilova erupted. Then the mobile phone explanation arrived. It was a classic Wimbledon flashpoint, polite on the surface, tense underneath, and dramatic enough to dominate the conversation. And as the tournament continues, this is the kind of incident that reminds everyone just how fragile momentum can be on the biggest stage. At Wimbledon, silence matters. Timing matters. And when a player is serving to stay in a set, even one raised racket can light the fuse.